Good morning and welcome to the Take Your Life Back Today show with me, Ralf Friedrichs. Today's topic is why we should treat, not blame, addicts struggling to try to get clean. We shouldn't point fingers at people, whether they're addicts or whether they're criminals. What we should do is try to see how we can fix the problem, not create a bigger problem by blaming. First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to Larry Geis from the Geis Academy at 516-485-2741. That's 516-485-2741. Larry Geis from the Geis Academy. You can Google him at www.odysseyconsultant.org. That's www.odysseyconsultant.org. That's Larry Geis. He is an addiction recovery coach, a life coach like myself. He has over 30 years experience. If you have any situations where you want to go from your addiction to your recovery, or you have some life issues, self-esteem issues, depression issues, give Larry Geis a call at 516-485-2741, and when you do call him, you let him know that you heard about him on the Take Your Life Back Today show with me, Ralf Friedrichs. Give a shout out to globaleyeglasses.com. They are focused on saving you money. Folks, if you need eyeglasses, if you need metal frames, plastic frames, rimless frames, semi-rimless frames, if you need progressives, if you need transitions, if you want your lenses to be thinner because the lenses are thick already, if you want coatings like anti-reflecting coating, UV coating, you can get polarized coating. globaleyeglasses.com has the solution. Has a solution by about 80% less in cost compared to a brick and mortar place locally in your neighborhood. Get a hold of globaleyeglasses.com. Let them focus on saving you money. And folks, I have over 30 years experience in the optometry business. All you need to do is text me at 631-599-0218. That's 631-599-0218. And I will, excuse me, the light was a little strong this morning. I will help you place your order. You just need to make that first move. If you want to call me at 844-405-HELP, that's 844-405-HELP. I will help you with your eyeglasses. Go to www.globaleyeglasses.com. Let them focus on saving you money. Folks, I want to give a huge thank you to finally reaching the plateau of over 1,000 followers on Twitter. It is people like you in my audience that follow me, that make me successful, to finally have reached 585 episodes, videos on my YouTube channel, Take Your Life Back Today show with Ralf Friedrichs. It is people like you in the audience that go to all my Facebook pages, that go on Twitter, that go on Google Hangout. It is people like you in my audience that keep the message going, the message of hope, the message of there is help for people with addiction. This is why we should treat, not blame people with addiction. And here goes today's topic. Why we should treat, not blame addicts struggling to get clean. It has been more than 40 years since Richard Nixon called for a war on drugs, and yet our prevention and treatment efforts have largely failed to address the chronic illness of substance addiction that afflicts 1 in 12 Americans and affects millions more friends and family members. A friend of mine's son began using marijuana and alcohol at the age of 12, then heroin, and then crystal meth. My friend was baffled. His son transformed from an intelligent student and an athlete into an addict living on the streets. At first he thought Nick, which is my friend's son's name, was just a wild teenager who needed some tough love. But after struggling to find Nick treatment and to keep him alive, my friend realized his son was dealing with a serious, dangerous disease, more similar than different from diabetes, hypertension, or even cancer. With his personal experience and more than 10 years of research, my friend concluded that the addiction is a health crisis with a price tag of $600 billion in combined medical, economic, criminal, and social costs every single year. Folks, I would like for you to read the book entitled Clean, Overcoming Addiction and Ending America's Greatest Tragedy, in order to outline a slew of reasons why society and addiction treatments have already failed to help the 20 million Americans with addiction. It asserts that the reason that addiction treatments are overwhelmingly failing is because of how we view addiction. And he says correcting common and misconception about the disease can be the first step towards improving the social support and medical treatment systems for those struggling with their addictions. Here are myths about addiction according to the book Clean: Overcoming Addiction, Ending America's Greatest Tragedy. If you agree or you disagree, let me know via either text at 631-599-0218, or you can leave comments on any one of my web pages. Let the Take Your Life Back Today show know that what you think, leaving your comment, and any one of those resources to leave your comment. Myth number 1, folks. Good kids don't use drugs. Bad kids do. As our children grow up, we, parents, you, teachers, the coaches as a whole, tells them good kids abstain, bad ones use drugs. Yet 80% of America's children will at least try alcohol or other drugs. Do you really believe that most of our children are bad? As one pediatrician told me once, these aren't bad kids, they are our kids. By moralizing the choice to use or not, we're alienating our kids. This isn't a question of good and bad. It's a question of health and safety. If we keep this in mind, we can better help our kids grow up without succumbing to drugs and continuing to use other substances, trying new and more dangerous drugs, even becoming addicted to them. Myth number 2. It is impossible to prevent drug use. Kids are going to use and are going to use over and over. We fail to prevent use because we've done most things wrong by focusing on drugs as criminal and moral problems, and on the scare tactics and hyperbole. Prevention efforts will be effective when we focus on the Just Say No instituted by Nancy Reagan tactics, but instead address the reasons kids use. The slogan, Just Say No, that Nancy Reagan invented is a great slogan, but we need to dive deeper into the problem. Kids who have drug problems often use drugs as a way to alleviate stress and otherwise help them cope with stressful lives. Kids who experience trauma are more likely to have drug problems. The list of risk factors goes on and on. Those growing up in poverty or violent neighborhoods, children whose parents divorced or suffered loss, those with addiction including alcoholism in their family, young people with ADHD, with learning disabilities, with a host of psychological disorders including depression and bipolar disorders are more likely to use drugs and alcohol. Myth number 3. People who get addicted are weak and without morals. Addiction is a disease, folks. This isn't about character. People who think that addicts are weak assume that the willpower is enough for a person to stop using. Not everybody can do that. Only a few have tried and can do it. So if weakness isn't the reason why, when someone's life is negatively affected by their drug use, why don't they just stop using? It's because their brains have altered, so the new normal is presence of drugs. Dependence is real, not a choice, biologically rooted, and therefore addicts must be treated. It is critical that people understand that addiction is a serious illness, usually chronic and progressive, and often fatal. Addiction is the cause for 120,000 deaths each and every year. Myth number 4, folks. Addicts must hit rock bottom before they can be treated. This myth kills addicts. Don't wait for an addict to hit rock bottom. Do everything you can to get them into treatment. Addicts are often told that they must hit rock bottom, but they need to know that people who enter treatment can and do get well. Many people die before they hit rock bottom. We must reject that particular belief. Myth number 5. You don't treat drug problems with drugs. Wrong again. Many addiction treatments can and should include medication. A variety of medications, when prescribed, monitored, and adjusted by a good psychiatrist in combination with behavioral therapies, dramatically up the odds of successful treatment. For many addicts, the impact of medications can be profound, even life-saving. And for addicts with concurrent mental illnesses, drugs can be essential. Some of the same medications that help during detox can be part of primary care. Some of these prescriptions inhibit cravings. Some treat the symptoms that come with sobriety following intense and consistent drug use. Some replacement drugs can not only reduce cravings but act as a deterrent for future drug use. They block certain drugs from attaching to receptors, thereby preventing the drugs from triggering a high if they are taken. In addition, medications can treat the concurrent and underlying problems, including anxiety, depression, and other disorders that help increase the risk of addiction. Myth number 6. The only way for addicts to stop using is to go to AA meetings. Folks, this one personally affects me because I have stated in over 580 episodes prior to this, or during these, that AA has helped millions of people, but for some, you need to go a step further, like myself. Alcohol Anonymous and the 12 Steps have helped countless addicts get and stay sober. It is a profound program that works for many, many people, but it doesn't work for the majority of addicts. People must know that there are other treatments that are effective. Some are used in concert with AA, but AA isn't a requirement to managing addiction. When treatment programs insist that patients must practice the steps, they can alienate some addicts, often teenagers. Effective programs should offer many types of treatment, including behavioral and psychological treatments. As I said, some addictions should be treated with medications in addition to behavioral treatments. Folks, rock bottom myth and the AA myth is so important in my personal life, because I do believe that hitting rock bottom for some people might be too late. And I do believe that a lot of people need treatment, but I also believe, from my own experience, that you can save yourself. You can take your life back on your own. And you don't need AA to do that. What you need is a combination of breaking the wall of denial that's within you and the help of the higher power. Your acceptance of your disease and your acceptance of the Lord Jesus Christ can conquer any problem in life. Myth number 7. Marijuana is not addictive. No one's ever died from marijuana. It's not a gateway drug. Marijuana shouldn't be legalized. That's myth number 7. Marijuana should be legalized, but not because it's safe, especially for teenagers and young adults. It should be legalized because we must treat marijuana use like all drug use. As a health issue, the fact is illegal just drives using marijuana underground. The last thing we want to do is increase those things by kicking kids out of school or throwing them into the criminal justice system because they got caught smoking pot. But those who support legalization by saying the pot is harmless, it's natural, conscious, and it's also wrong. Marijuana is dangerous for kids. Part of the reason is that their brains are developing during adolescence and early adulthood. Drugs impede and alter the brain development, and these changes can harm cognition and memory and can impede kids' emotional maturity stages. Marijuana is a gateway drug for some kids who smoke. I've never met an addict who started on heroin. It's always pot and drinking, escalating across the bridge to higher things like heroin or crystal meth. And marijuana is addictive for about 7% of those who try it. Yes, people don't overdose and die from smoking pot, but those who drive while they're high are twice as likely to get in car accidents, including the ones that are fatal, which have skyrocketed in the United States. Myth number 8. We failed at solving America's drug problem not because it's impossible to do so, but we've been focusing on the wrong things. The main problem is that we've treated drug use as a criminal problem and drug users as morally bankrupt. There are several developments that make me optimistic that we can lower drug use, treat addicts, and potentially solve many of the problems in America caused by addiction. Number one, there's a growing understanding that acceptance that addiction is a disease and must be treated like one and not be treated like criminality activity or criminal activities. Number two, there are advances in treatment that will dramatically improve the likelihood that addicts will get well. There are also new prevention strategies, early assessments, and brief intervention strategies that work. Number three, there is a progress toward making sure that people who need treatment will be able to find programs that use evidence-based treatment. Number four, there is a new organization founded called Brian's Wish to End Addiction, modeled after American Cancer Society, that will work to educate the American public, support research, and lobby Congress, all in order to improve addiction treatment and care. The organization is being led by businessmen and scientists determined to unite those throughout America who are working to end this disease. Number five, sections of the Affordable Care Act that will go into effect that went into effect January 2014 will profoundly influence addiction care in America. Insurance will have to cover addiction treatments and other mental illnesses as comprehensively as they cover any other disease out there. For the first time, insurance will pay for whatever level of treatment is needed. Plus, the more money available for treatment, the more jobs there will be for good and highly trained therapists, psychiatrists, and other treatment professionals. Last but not least, number six. There's a growing movement in America of addicts and family members coming out of the darkness. They are calling for national and local focus on starting a war on addiction, not on drugs. Folks, why we should treat, not blame addicts struggling to get clean. If there are people out in your own personal inner circle, or people in your outer circle, people that you might know, that you know have drug and alcohol issues, what we should not do is blame them, but we should try to help them become clean. When you know someone that has breast cancer, do you sit there and you blame them for the breast cancer? Or if you know somebody that has lung cancer, do you sit there and you blame them for having lung cancer? And if you do, how dare you? How can you blame any American, yet alone anyone in the world, for having a disease? Do you really personally think that anyone chooses cancer, chooses a heart attack, chooses alcoholism or drug addiction? These are all diseases that need to be worked on and helped through kindness and treatment and medications to counterattack. These are diseases that will never heal by people like anyone pointing a finger and say, how dare you have breast cancer? How dare you have brain or lung cancer? How dare you have drug addiction? Because the problem will not be solved by doing that. The problem can only be solved as if all us Americans unite and try to help the people become clean that have a problem. Nancy Reagan said, just say no, but there are people that are out there that can utilize those words but yet use drugs and alcohol because they need more than a slogan. They need counterattacks with other medications to help them get through the drug and alcohol addiction. The myths were so simple, but I'm asking anyone out there to please get the book, and it's called, quote, Clean, Overcoming Addiction and Ending America's Greatest Tragedy, unquote, quote. Take a look at that book. Tell me if you agree or disagree what's in that book by getting a hold of me at your, you can go to www.Take Your Life Back Today show. You can go to Facebook under clearviews.info, under Clear Reform, or Take Your Back Your Life Today show, or you can email me directly at Ralf at takeyourlifebacktodayShow.com. That's Ralph at take your life back. Take your life back todayshow.com. Folks, this one really hits home because I am sick and tired of watching these shows where people are being more or less blamed for any disease they might have. Kids don't use drugs. Good kids don't use drugs. Bad kids do. Well, let me ask you something. If you truly think that 80% of our children are all bad kids because they use drugs, you must be morally bankrupt. Because 80% of our society, or 80% of our children, all can't be bad. Myth number 2, it is impossible to prevent drug use. Kids are going to use and going to use. Education, consequences that people might know what drug use can do through education are some of the ways to help people fight this. Myth number 3, people who get addicted are weak and without morals. Wrong. I am not a weak person, folks. I am a very strong person. Yet, a disease, that's like saying you got breast cancer or lung cancer because you are weak and have no morals. How dare you for even thinking that? Treat any disease the same as drug and alcohol diseases. Addicts must hit rock bottom before they can be treated. Wrong, because sometimes rock bottom is the end of their life. You don't treat drug problems with drugs. Wrong again. We need to medicate some of these people. You don't battle cancer most of the time without some sort of medication to counterattack the cancer. Chemo. You cannot just treat alcoholism and drug addiction without medication. Myth number 6, the only way for addicts to stop using is to go in AA meetings. Wrong again, folks. AA has worked for many, many people, but not for everyone. I am the perfect example of that. Number 7, marijuana is not addictive. No one has ever died from marijuana. It is a gateway. Most people that have used heroin and crystal meth, if you look at the chronological timeline of their drug usage, it all started with drinking and marijuana, and the gateway to higher killing drugs was there. Number 8, America's drug problem is unsolvable. Wrong again. We need to unite as a nation, come together and treat alcoholism and drug addiction as you would treat breast cancer and lung cancer and brain cancer. We need to come together and fight this. We need to stop pointing the finger at each other. And we need to finally accept the fact that drug addiction and alcoholism are diseases. We need to come together to do that, folks. Remember, a sober today, I promise, will automatically give you a better tomorrow. Because if you're sober today, and it's very early in the morning where I am right now, it's about 5:30 in the morning. If I continue staying sober, I will wake up tomorrow, God willing, and then at 5 in the morning be sober again, and that's a better start for a better tomorrow. Teach your children to say no to drugs and alcohol, and the best way, other than using those words, is by using actions in your own life. Stop using drugs and alcohol, and stop using profanity in front of your children, because what they see is what they're going to think is okay, because you are the role model, you are their hero. Folks, start thinking positive in your mind, and positive things will happen in your life. Avoid negativity. Don't let other people suck you into their vacuum of negativity and make you feel that everything in the world is just not going to work properly. Start focusing on the good things. Look at the glasses not half empty but half full. What is good in your life? Look at all the good. I guarantee you each and every one out there has more good in their life than they have bad. And whatever bad you have, work on getting those better. And no better way to get rid of bad in your life than to reach to God for guidance and direction. Carrie Underwood said it best, Jesus, take the wheel. Let God guide and direct you throughout your life. I hope to God each and every one in my audience out there has the best day of their life today. And I thank each and every one out there for over 1,000 of you Twitter followers, for over 563,000 of you that have watched my videos on YouTube. I thank you all, and I ask you to keep my message going. I thank you for all my Facebook followers, and I, most importantly, thank my wife for being my biggest fan, and for God guiding and directing me. Folks, I hope you have a sober rest of your life, and may God bless each and every one of you out there. And thank you for watching.